What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers still want Walker Kessler. Now, I don't think that this should be a surprise to anybody. I mean, they've been after Walker Kessler for years now. Their most likely chance to obtain Walker Kessler was probably last offseason before he ended up having the defensive season and whatnot that he had last season. But, I mean, I do think it's something that is unlikely. It's something that I want badly. It's something that I regularly put out into the universe, right? Like, I've talked about it in live streams. I'm just putting it out in the universe. In a lot of ways, that's kind of what this is too, right? Put it out in the universe. Hopefully it happens. But obviously, again, Lakers trying to make a push for Walker Kessler. I know people talk about like, oh, Danny Ainge would never work with the Lakers again because of what happened with Luka. Danny Ainge doesn't care, right? Before the Luka situation, it was like Danny Ainge would never help the Lakers. Danny Ainge would never, trade with the Lakers. Danny Ainge would never do nothing. And he's made like 3 trades with the Lakers. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. He's a guy that he doesn't care, right? If he feels like he's winning the deal, then he's going to make that move. He's going to make that deal. Now, I don't know. In order for the Lakers to get Walker Kessler, in my opinion, I think that they'll probably have to get creative, right? It would probably have to be a 3-team trade, or, maybe you're taking on somebody that Utah wants to kind of get off of or get rid of, right? Maybe you're taking on a guy that they want to kind of clear off, right? Like I've talked about, if you could get like a John Collins and Walker Kessler, like, do what you have to go get him. Because now you got an athletic, versatile, two-way wing who is probably best suited at the 4, but literally can slot in 3 through 5. And then also get a guy in a Walker Kessler, right? Like, some of their guys, though, are starting to get into, like, Colin Sexton. There was talks about, like, hey, maybe get Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton to help them get off of his contract for, the following year, maybe clear some salary. Well, now he's going into a contract year, so it's like, I don't know if that would have the value that it would have had, maybe last season, right? If the Lakers are to land Walker Kessler, I think it would have to be in a creative trade. It'd have to be something where, how badly do the Jazz want a Rui Hachimura? How bad? I mean, probably Austin Reeves, but like, would you trade Austin? Like, if you could get Kessler, and I would probably trade Austin Reeves, right? But, again, what is Utah willing to give up for that? So to me, I look at it as like, I mean, Walker Kessler's contract, just Dalton Connect, easy. So to me, I'd look at it as like, okay, we have the Kessler, like, financial side of things solved with Connect, right? Can we turn other things into assets, right? Can you get, maybe a first for Rui Hachimura from one of these vet teams, and now you have these firsts. The other problem is that the Lakers' first-round picks and pick swaps don't have the value that they had, right? Danny Ainge was on record saying that he believed the Lakers' picks were the best on the market because he believed that once the Lakers, LeBron retires and it's just Anthony Davis, that the Lakers are going to fall off a cliff, or, Anthony Davis would essentially age himself out, or the Lakers would have to trade him or whatever, right? So he was going to the assumption that, like, hey, we're only a couple years away from this team essentially being a tanking team. So if I can get their pick swaps, if I can get their firsts, all that stuff, then I will take it. Right? That's why he was mad about the Luka trade. He wasn't mad that he helped the Lakers get Luka. He was mad that he has an asset that now affects because of the Luka trade. Right? Like, that's why he's mad, because now that pick is something. But you also got to keep in mind that pick is protected. Right? So it's not like, so if the Lakers did bottom out, right? Like, what would that have done? Like, like if the Lakers land the number 1 pick, well, then you don't get that pick anyway. So it's just like, I don't know, like, I don't think it's as big as he made it out, but I understand his frustration. And then there's also the people that are like, oh, Lakers don't, or Utah doesn't want to make the Lakers better because of the picks, because of the assets, right? But again, to me, it's not just about like the Lakers 2031 first. It's about like, what else can he get from the Lakers, right? Can he get pieces? Supposedly Utah wants to kind of start being better and pick a direction, right? So they need to make some decisions. Also, they're going to have to start paying guys. Right? Walker Kessler is going to need a new contract, right? And they have other guys, and that's not counting who they draft in this year's draft and, what kind of moves and directions they go. To me, it boils down to what direction do the Jazz want to go? Because, look, if the Jazz want to start competing sooner rather than later, then keeping Walker Kessler probably is their best route as far as the center position because he's already one of the best defensive centers in all of basketball, right? Like the fact that they even want to trade him has always been strange. I mean, it was strange last year. It's even stranger now, but they're trying to see if they can get it seems like Utah doesn't know what direction they want to go. Like Danny Ainge is notorious for like stacking assets and things, but like at some point you have to we're just going to tank forever and accumulate assets forever, right? At what point do you start making moves? That was a question and concern in Boston, right? It was why Boston, it was like they just can't get over the hump. Yeah, you have 30 first-round picks, that's great, but if you never use them for anything, right, and you're a team that's in the position to win now, so I mean, it's something that has kind of plagued Danny Ainge from, for years, like literally, right? So again, it's just, does Danny Ainge finally pick a direction? If he wants to win now, then he probably should keep Walker Kessler, right? You have Walker Kessler, have Lauri Markkanen, and then start putting the pieces around those two to, do what you need to do. So trade everybody else and try to go, can you maybe go and get in like, the Kevin Durant race or something like that and go. But if he wants to clear the deck and trade Lauri Markkanen and trade Walker Kessler, do the Lakers, and this is kind of a thing that I would probably do, but I don't know how I feel about it. If you could get Walker Kessler by taking on Lauri Markkanen's contract, right? Because look, for being honest, Lauri Markkanen is overpaid. I mean, he's making $40+ million. He's just getting into that contract, right? And I don't think he's an excellent player, don't get me wrong, but he's not a first or second option. He's closer to a third option, right? Which on the Lakers, you could look at, he would be ideal in principle for the Lakers, right? You talk about a guy that can, a big 7-footer that can slot in basically 3 through 5, because Utah even played him at the 3 at times. Chicago played him at 3 at times, right? Like, so he's a guy that can slot in 3 through 5 for you and just give you that 3-point shooting like nobody's business, right? Give you that floor stretching big man. Okay, that's great. And yes, again, you'd have LeBron and Luka, right? So Lauri Markkanen, he's a guy that, would be your third if you can keep Austin Reeves, really your fourth option, right? It's just where do you slot him in? Ideally, you slot him in at the 4. So you have Kessler as your 5, Markkanen as your 4, and then LeBron slides over and plays your 3. Right? But I'd worry about defense, particularly out on the perimeter, because then you'd have Lauri Markkanen, Luka, and Austin Reeves. Now, Lauri Markkanen as your 4 is better suited defensively than he would be, but he's not like this super elite, absolute clamps, can defend, forwards and guards out on the perimeter. He can hold his own in spots, but he's not like this ideal. But, he'd be again, on paper, he's exactly the kind of guy that the Lakers need, right? And you can even run him at the 5 at times, right? So you could have him at the 5 with LeBron at the 4 and kind of have like this 5 wide offense at times, right? So it definitely would give you some flexibility. It's just the problem is you're probably stuck with Kessler or you're selling him for pennies on the dollar. But again, to me, it depends on like what would you have to give up, right? If you have to sell the farm to go get, like if you have to trade Austin Reeves and all this other stuff, but if it's like, hey, we'll give you, Rui, Kleba, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, right? And then I think that would be enough. Maybe you have to throw in like a Shake Milton or something like that. But essentially like, hey, here is Dalton Connect. We'll give you the 2031 first. We'll remove the protections on the 2027 first, just because you never know, right? Like, so we'll do all that for you. We'll take on Lauri Markkanen's long-term money. So now you get off of his contract next year, and you can kind of figure out and see what guys you want to keep, what guys you want to flip at the trade deadline, right? Gives you more flexibility to do some stuff. You get a young asset in Dalton Connect. You get a 2031 first, right? Like, maybe that would incentivize them, right? And so now you get to keep Austin Reeves, which if I'm being, I am definitely trading Austin Reeves at that point, right? Because I just think you need the perimeter athleticism and defense to slot out there on the perimeter, and you'd have Lauri Markkanen as like your 20+ point a game guy that would actually probably be a better fit alongside Luka and LeBron James, right? I just think you really need that perimeter defense. I think you need that like Luka, and then can you go get a Jalen Suggs, right? Like, Because then, like, if you have like Luka, Jalen, Suggs, now you got one of the best perimeter defensive guards in all of basketball with a LeBron James, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler. I just think that is better suited. And then now you're kind of in this position. The rest of the roster you could fill out with vet minimums. I mean, you got Gary Harris that's now on the market. You got, DeAnthony Melton. Could you get those guys to provide some bench? So I'm not worried about like, oh, well, you're doing like a 5-for-2 swap or something crazy like that. I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about like just, being stuck with Lauri Markkanen's contract. I don't know if that would be ideal. In a perfect world, if you do something like that, though, would LeBron now take a discount? Because it's like, hey, we got Lauri Markkanen and we got Walker Kessler, and you were able to keep Austin Reeves. Right? Is that something Utah would do? I don't think it's crazy, right? Because again, like they were trying to trade Lauri Markkanen so they didn't have to pay him, right? They were trying to get off of him before they had to pay him, and then they weren't getting the offers they wanted, so they had to pay him. They're not going to get like who's selling the farm to go get an overpaid Lauri Markkanen, but the Lakers getting a guy on Walker Kessler that is your long-term asset. Lakers' lack of assets, you're going to have to, again, get creative. You're going to have to do something that maybe not be as favorable for you, but a Lauri Markkanen is still good, right? So, I don't know. It's just kind of a thought to maybe get Walker Kessler. I don't know if that would be enough to get him, but you never know. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you want to like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.